Welcome to The Other Side of the Bridge with Iron City Paranormal, where they discuss real investigations, first-hand experiences, unexplained moments, and everything that happens when you step off the regular path and onto the other side of the bridge. Just honest paranormal talk, Iron City Paranormal style. And now, here are your hosts, Derek Smith and Dan Metelsky.
Hey, Ians, guys. Welcome back to the other side of the bridge. It has been 3 weeks since we've been on, which is awful. I felt like I've been going through some sort of withdrawal from doing this show. So it's nice to be back with everybody. We have a really great episode lined up today. Before we get into that, I would like to kind of set the scene a little bit for why Derek is not here. So Derek is typically, front and center every episode. He has been going through just some personal health issues. He's going to be out at least the next month, likely. So you're going to have to stare at me and Aaron and cool people that we bring in, like tonight's guest. So we send, nothing but the best energy to Derek, all the love, the prayers. He is going to be okay. It's just something he's going to have to work through. So he'll be about a month, but we don't want to dwell on that too much. Just Derek, when you're ready, we'll hold down the fort. So hopefully he can listen to this as the weeks go on. Okay, so lots to talk about tonight. So we have a very special guest with us tonight, Blair Murphy. He is actually, Derek and I and Aaron talked a little bit about him during the last episode 3 weeks ago with the American Renaissance Church. Former owner of the church, currently still the owner of Grand Midway Hotel that Derek and I have investigated a few times now. So a little bit of background about Blair. He's a super interesting person, and I'm just so jazzed to get him into the stage so we can talk to him. So Blair's parents actually grew up as funeral directors in LA. Spent some time. He grew up in a funeral home. In the 90s, he moved to LA as an independent filmmaker, producing a few low-budget features. Blair was a cameraman for Prince for a few years, which is cool as heck. It was Stan Lee's assistant at Marvel Films. Like, this guy is just his resume just keeps going, and it's all cool stuff. So he was with Marvel Films for a few years. Blair moved into the Grand Midway Hotel as a 2-year experiment, but then he never left. We understand that, right? We're very jealous that this guy owns such a cool location and he gets to live there. So at first it was a big house party for him with lots of bands, massive keg parties. But now the hotel is all paranormal investigations all the time. After a few years in Grand Midway, he started to expand the campus, buying a few properties around town, including the American Renaissance Church, which unfortunately he no longer owns at this point. Blair and a few friends have been awarded 3 Guinness World Records at the Grand Midway, with a pending 4th Guinness record soon coming. Blair has just started the Frankenstein Awards Film Festival, which will host this October at Grand Midway. Blair works all the time he has a great sense of mission urgency, while also being a proud dad of a little girl that has and this is something he asked me to say, but I do concur. He does have a legendary sexy swagger. So, ladies and gentlemen, Blair Murphy. There he is. I had to put that in there, Blair. You typed it out, and I had to go with it.
Hello. That was a very nice intro. Thank you.
Well, you wrote it, so I was just. It is a good intro, but I can't take credit for that one.
One thing. The Frankenstein Awards is a film festival. It's going to take place at the Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh in October.
No kidding.
Very cool.
So the hotel is just the headquarters.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it for everybody? Can anybody come?
It's on Film Freeway right now. Frankenstein Awards. It's a film festival.
Oh, so, no kidding. I'll have to get down there. That'll be awesome.
Anyway, I'll get into it later in the show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, you're free to talk about it anytime. So first we want to get into what makes Blair, right? Because I think that, like I said, you are an incredibly interesting person, just like the locations are incredibly interesting places. Um, I didn't know that you grew up in a funeral home until you sent the intro. So now I'm extremely interested about you growing up in a funeral home. What was that like growing up in a funeral home?
Well, in retrospect, it's super cool. But at the
Yeah.
time, when I was a little kid, I thought it was a little weird. Like other kids were like, "That's weird," and so I didn't think it was a good thing. I thought it was like a not something to be ashamed of, but it wasn't cool. But now it's super cool. So I'm happy as an adult. I'm happy about it. They were coroners too. My dad was the county coroner of Camden County, New Jersey. So
that's probably really big.
Somebody be dead somewhere, and he'd take off in the car and bring him home, the body.
I mean, the younger me would hate that, but like older me wanting to be younger me again. That sounds so cool to me. Like I would love to grow up in a funeral home. So when you were in the funeral home, we got to, of course, bring it back to the paranormal connection.
Yep.
Did you have anything happen at the funeral home that kind of started your interest in paranormal, or was it pretty chill?
Well, I was always into monster movies. I loved monster. I was obsessed when I was a little kid. Like that's all I could think about. And I remember when my dad or mom was doing makeup on a body. My height was right around, and the body's in a coffin. My head was right around the body's eye level, and I used to stare at closed dead body eyeballs for a really long time.
That's
thinking,
wild.
This eye opens, it's going to blow. I didn't understand the word paradigm at the time, but I thought if this eye opens ever on me, it's going to change everything, and I'll never be able to go back to the way I used to be. And so I would try to see how long I could stare at these closed eyeballs. And it was a weird thing I did as a kid. And that was very close to like Lon Chaney makeup, like nose putty for a body and nose putty for makeup. The leap was real close. And so I was sliding toward horror movies and horror makeup and all that. And I'm sure it was all influenced by coffins and the makeup for bodies. And my first press quote was when I was in second grade. They made us say what our parents do, and I said, this ended up in print, I said, my dad paints dead bodies' lips red. And so,
that's amazing.
Mixed in.
And
Anubis was, I would look at Egyptian books and think, I'm part of this tradition, that Anubis and mortuary rites, and so it's all sort of blended together.
So is that where you get the respect for the paranormal? Because I will say, we've obviously been a lot of different places, met a lot of different owners of these people that own locations for paranormal investigations, and I'm not saying this across the board, but there's a handful of them. You could tell they're in it just because it makes some money. Right. For you, that's not the case, right? You can tell, like, anytime, like, we've met you 3 times now, like during investigations, and spent a lot of time with you. Like, I can tell you are really passionate about this stuff.
Well, thank you.
Do you think that's where you you started that passion, was learning about Anubis and reading up on things and staring at dead bodies?
Yeah.
Okay.
The paranormal stuff is just a hobby here for me. Like, it's a side. It's my home that started to just entertain people, and so to this day, it's still doing that. I don't really think it makes a profit. Like, if I had to heat the place in the winter, it would lose a lot of money, the building, and
Sure.
And so I like the ongoing experimentation that's happening. I like that it feels like that whatever's happening here is growing. That I mean, it was so spooky Sunday night. I didn't even go to the second floor. Like, I've always been pretty bold in this building, and lately sometimes it's so spooky. I'm just like, I'm a wimp, walking around my own building, and not in there alone. It's a big building, but it feels like it's getting creepier. And I like that because it's feeding several other projects I'm working on simultaneously, and they're all sort of mixed together. But I've never been to anyone else's haunted place. I've never done a haunted tour at another location, not one.
Really?
So I don't really know.
Okay.
I just say, like, well, what would I think would be cool? How would I want to be treated? that's just how so my place just is run how I would want it to be treated. But I don't know what other places are like. So I don't know how if people have lots of running bathrooms, or they're, my place is not meant for coziness. Like people don't come here for a shower and a good night's sleep. It's just to stay up all night with flashlights and creep around. You can go to sleep there, but that's not what I'm focusing on.
Right.
And
but I was going to say, you have beds there, though. You can sleep there. We've done it.
You can, yeah. But that's not like. But if someone has a complaint about it, like whatever, this. You're camping.
I have two little questions for you that are going in totally different directions here. My first question for you: having grown up in the funeral home, can you pinpoint what your first paranormal? I mean, obviously you've experienced paranormal in the hotel and some of these places you're in here now. What was your first paranormal experience that you remember? Like overall, was it as a kid? Was it when you were older? Something that was like not obviously, looking at these bodies that are being prepared by your parents, but like something that seemed more paranormal than that.
Okay, I didn't think of the funeral home as paranormal. By the way, I thought it was a body business.
Right.
So it was great.
Science of it, right? Like it
was closer to like monster movies than paranormal experiences. That all kind of came later in my life. I did have a weird experience or two in the building, but it wasn't, the paranormal itself didn't play a big role in my, like I was more into werewolves and King Kong and Frankenstein and Universal monsters. It was really when I was in Los Angeles, this happened about, I'd say about a half dozen times where strangers stopped me and said, we should have lunch. I think you need to learn some things. And they were psychics that sort of just vibed it on me and said, you need to learn things. You don't really believe this. You need to learn this because you're going to be representing this down the road. And at first it was kind of weird. And then after 2 or 3 times, I started thinking, oh, the next person, I was like, I know what you're going to say to me. And I went from looking at film as movie making. It flipped to, it's like my career ended. And I looked at it as, it said, this is magic. And I'm working on, it's just like, it's spell casting. And I'm supposed to be doing this other stuff and just using film. And I left LA around the mid-90s. I mean, I was still involved with LA for another 5 years, but around the mid-90s, I started not thinking in terms of career and instead thinking in terms of archaic language and spell casting and sigils and just a whole different arena. I didn't think that way when I went to film school. Like things changed in a big way.
Yeah, there's a shift. That's very cool.
It was a career killer.
Very cool. Oh, well.
That's a career killer. I don't know about that. Like I said, I'm just like, I'm fascinated by your life and your story arc. I mean, there's so much I want to talk to you about, like in this whole thing. So let's dig in. So what led you from your filmmaking roots to getting funeral home roots to then filmmaking to the Grand Midway? What brought you did you move from LA to Windber? Is that how that transitioned?
I was a Philadelphia guy. I lived in that area.
We won't hold that against you.
And I went to school in Bridgeport, Connecticut to study film, but that's P.T. Barnum's stomping ground. And I got a degree in Bachelor of Fine Arts in Cinema. And then I moved to Los Angeles with all my friends, all my other film friends, and spent a decade there with them. And some of us fell into some real lucky jobs. I mean, I wasn't a great cameraman. When I worked for Prince, he just trusted me. It wasn't that I was fantastic because the first time I filmed him, he did this private show, and I think he did 6 songs, and I was so nervous that I forgot to press the start button for like the second and third song, so I didn't record all of it. I was thinking, oh, is he going to notice? And he did notice, but I didn't get fired. I think there was a lot of recording that was ending up in his archives, and I think some of us, he just felt like he's not going to make tapes on the side and sell me out. That there was an honesty played a role, and so it wasn't all skill. It was just I got lucky that I got hired there and that kind of thing. And then my Damien Youth is a singer songwriter from New Orleans. He does real dark stuff. and I moved to New Orleans for 1 year, and I was hanging out down there, and great year. It's so alcohol soaked though. Like I didn't want to live there the rest of my life. I just had a very lush year, and moved back to New Orleans, back to Los Angeles. And Damien called me one day, and his wife had found the hotel on eBay for $11,000. And she said, "Hey, there's this hotel with a bar and all for $11,000. And if someone doesn't buy it immediately, they're going to tear it down." And a week later, I was living there. There was a real culture shock going from Venice Beach to Windber, Pennsylvania.
I mean, I've lived in Pittsburgh 30. Well, by the time we met you, I was probably 34, 35. I didn't know Windber existed. So I'd imagine if you're in LA and New Orleans, how the heck would you?
Yeah.
I didn't know coal miners still existed. I didn't know.
It's crazy. They still exist to this day. Yeah. Even on the West Virginia, you see them. It's wild. And it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because we actually contacted some coal miners in the basement. No, it wasn't the basement of Grand Midway. It was, I don't remember exactly where it was in the building, but we had just had some interesting interactions. You could actually hear like EVPs of picks on rocks and different things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, Blair, because it's been a few years since we've been there. But we actually did want to kind of pull that in a little bit, if possible, later on.
Sure.
So that's how you got the Grand Midway. But so how did it? Like I said, there's such a cool story to it. So how did it go from like when you found it, paying $15,000 to the absolute masterpiece, or 11,000 to the masterpiece that it is right now? Because it's so cool. If you ever get to go there, like I highly encourage people that are listening to spend some time and get out there. But how did it transform from that hotel that you bought to what it is today?
Well, with Damien and his wife Elizabeth and I, the three of us lived there. We were thinking along the lines of Andy Warhol's factory, that we just wanted to have like a lot of artists come and with the combination jamming weekend after weekend of whoever showed up, we would be creating different artwork, whatever that is, film or songs. And Damien made a couple CDs when he was there, and I've done a couple films while there, and all these people just end up being part of it. Like you play this role here, jump in the scene, and a lot of that was going on, but it was all keg parties, and it was like wild parties. That this place used to be a brothel back in the day, the hotel, and I really think that energy affected. I mean, people were like hanging naked off of chandeliers, or just like crazy stuff. and I think that's part. I think that came from some of the energy of the building back in the day. And then over time, like some of the, we were only going to do it for a year or two. And then when I decided to stay, they left after a year. They said, "Too cold." It is cold in the winter.
Yeah.
Some of the artwork, some of the murals started becoming of higher quality that people were painting, and decided to like, let's preserve this and let's decorate that. And then as people heard that I was staying there long term, donations were coming, and some items of real folklore started coming our way, like this portrait of the lost children of the Alleghenies came to us, and some stuff that's like one of a kind that really should be in a state museum, and it's kind of wild that it's ended up in my hands. Leela Wendell had a gallery in New Orleans called the House of Death, and she donated her artwork, quite a few things, and then the Anne Rice collection, Anne Rice's doll collection came to me from Sue Carez, Anne Rice's assistant, and then Anne Rice's biographer Catherine Ramsland gave me a bunch more stuff, and the building now it's almost this big archive of neat stuff that so I can't throw the kind of parties I used to, and so but it's neat to like creep around at night with flashlights and have this extra stuff, all this eye candy all around.
It is so neat. And when you say eye candy in this hotel, the one room, so it's actually a very active room, the canopy room on the second floor. That's an active room, correct, from a paranormal perspective?
Yeah, it's very consistent too. Like the team told the same stories in there.
Yeah, so the first night that Derek and I went here, he slept in that room. And for those that are not familiar, Blair, or possibly one of your friends, had set up like a life-size Linda Blair doll from The Exorcist climbing out of the closet with crutches, like like pulling itself out of the closet, and that's at the foot of the bed. Like when you're laying on the pillow, you're looking straight down into the closet at that thing. So Derek volunteered to sleep in that room because he's a glutton
Naturally.
for punishment. I did not sleep in that room. I slept in another room. I don't remember where I slept. It was a much less scary room. But that's just what's so cool about it. It's every room you go in is a different vibe. It has a different story. And I do believe that what you've done with the place, the curation that it's taken place there over the years, has absolutely amplified that energy. Right. And you've had people, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Something's going on where it's more, it's getting more per year.
That was my second question I had for you. You had mentioned the shift in the energy that you've been feeling there, and I would love to dive into that a little bit more, and like how you felt the energy move around and like morph and take on to new form, and like what you're really like, put a finger on what you're experiencing there.
Okay. Well, before I say anything, I want to say that I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. That these conversations, usually someone in front of me will say, "You're lying. That's not true." I care less if people believe me or not. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. And I don't think the hotel is special. I think all old buildings have energies and going on in them. But there's certainly a lot of dark energy swirling around too in the Midway. So your question is, how am I perceiving it over the years? Is that what you're asking?
You were saying a few minutes ago that you're feeling like it's shifting a little bit, that the energy is taking on a different energy, that you were creeped out in your own building. You know what I mean? So I'm just interested to see
Gotcha.
Like what you're feeling and how you're experiencing that, and what that shift looks like for you.
So as I bring new things into the building, sometimes it feels like stuff shifts around. And I just took a room which had been my old bedroom, actually, which had been sealed off for a couple of years now in the hotel. I pulled out all the Anne Rice dolls out of boxes, and I built shelves in that room, and I put display cabinets in there, and I'm putting out all these Anne Rice items. There's I got some stuff that nobody even knows yet. Anne Rice,
no kidding.
Anne Rice stuff that I'm going to hold off on kind of telling the world for a little bit longer. But it's a neat display, and so but it's like a lot of Anne Rice concentration of what, you know. I'm not saying that Anne Rice is in my building or the characters are in the building, but definitely the energy has changed a bit from all this focus on Anne Rice stuff and bringing all this like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of Anne Rice material into the building is played a new role. And then I believe when the next collection of something comes my way, that again will shift things yet again. And I'm real open to, like I've said to anyone, I'll take anything. Like if you've got something in your, like, when people are really old, they don't want to sell their collections. They want them to go on displayed in new ways. And so I find that's why people are donating things to the hotel. And one day I guess I'll be passing on these collections to somebody else. But they definitely do. They come from their own pockets of weird energy and bring that into the hotel. It seems like everything else has to adjust to it. And then that also things respond to me like, hey, what'd you bring that in here for? Or story, or I don't know, whatever, like I'm experiencing energy too. Like the building itself feels like a creative poltergeist to me. And that things, the building seems like it plays a role in some of its own upgrading. That the Ouija board on the roof, it was just like one day it felt like the building said, hey, put a Ouija board on the roof, it'll be world famous. And like ideas come and materials that are missing sometimes come from the building itself. It feels like I could be delusional. All of you could be. But
that's absolutely the truth. And I've had people ask me that and say, like, what do you do whenever you find out, when you die and you find out there's no such thing as ghosts? Are you going to look back and think, what the heck was I talking to all those years? The guy that does my tattoos, and we've investigated his shop a couple times, he's asked me that, and I told him, when I'm dead and there's no ghosts, I don't think I'm going to care. Right. So I'm going to live in the here and now. We're going to enjoy it because we have some experiences during investigations that have changed the way that I feel about the world, and have changed the way that, I perceive things. So unfortunately, we have to take a quick ad break. And then we're going to jump right back in it with Blair. So please hang with us for a few quick ads, and we will get right back into everything Blair Murphy.
Every ghost story and creature feature lies a far more terrifying truth. The real monsters wear human faces. In the chilling book, All Monsters Are Human, from Derek Smith, 10 Twisted Tales expose the darkest parts of a human soul. From killers hiding in plain sight to obsessions turned deadly. Each story invites you to step into a shadow world where morality unravels, and the only thing more terrifying than what lurks in the dark is who. These aren't just horror stories. They're reflections of ourselves, showing what happens when fear, rage, guilt, and desire take control. Visit unexmedia.com for more information on All Monsters Are Human from Derek Smith. And you can purchase them at Amazon.com from unexmedia.com. The truth, it's out there, and it's waiting for you. The Unexplained Network is your source for the best in paranormal programming, live video streaming, and audio streaming from hauntings, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, and the ever-expanding realm of the unexplained. Listen live or on demand now on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, and Pockets all over the World Wide Web. The Unexplained Network, where unexplained lives. The new book, How to Research a Haunted House, by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or Amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or Amazon.com.
Okay, guys, welcome back. Iron Mike, good stuff. Thank you very much. Blair is a super interesting guy. He's doing all the legwork on this one. We're just here. We're just the faces. That's all we're doing today.
Actually, at the church, you guys did everything, because I didn't buy that for paranormal reasons, or like I wasn't even. You were the investigators there. I didn't do any of it.
So that was actually something that I wanted to talk to you about when we had you. So how many people had you had investigate that location before and after us? So like how many teams had you had through there in the time that you had it?
Half a dozen total.
Okay.
Very, very few.
Was there a repeating thought of like poltergeist there from other groups? What did other groups think? They all thought that.
Yeah, they all thought that. And I thought the church was real creepy at night. And I thought that whatever was in there didn't want to participate, didn't want us there. That I had heard that there was there was an Irish priest that used to run it up until the day they closed. And I just thought, that's who's here. And he's saying, get the hell out of here. I don't want to talk to you. No, you guys.
Well, and that was when Derek and I were there, that was very much what we had in the back of our minds the entire time. And if you remember, we showed it on the last episode from several weeks ago, but we actually had that shadow figure walk in front of that mural of Jesus that you had painted on the back of the the altar, which was a gorgeous piece. But you could actually see that. We think that is the priest, right? Is what our vibe is, because we actually did get some interaction when we questioned it throughout the night, but we didn't know that we caught that. And here's the fun part about paranormal investigation: a lot of time you don't know you got it until you're looking at it days later, and it would be so cool to pick that up in the moment. Because if you also remember, we did have that trail cam in the basement of the church that it looked like somebody physically picked it up and moved it through it, like at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was well after our our setup time period. So that church had such an energy about it. And I don't know if it stemmed from the dolls as far as the kick up of the energy, but something was very, let's say, upset that those dolls were present in that church.
Yeah. I thought that it was just that we were there at all, that I was there, that I was bringing people, weirdos in, that I thought that everything, not that anything inappropriate was going on in the church, but I felt like the energy of a spirit in the church didn't want us there, didn't want us participating, didn't want to participate with us. And so it could have been the dolls or any other things brought in there, that it just felt like it was saying, get out, like, and stop asking questions, that kind of thing.
So that did not have anything to do with you selling the location, though, right? Did it? Or was it just, you just didn't want to continue to keep it?
Well, I kind of went nuts and bought a lot of places in town.
Okay.
Next to it, I bought the old radio station next to that. I got the parking lot. I got a storefront a few blocks away, and then I got a church a few blocks that way. And the far properties were hard to watch. Like I couldn't monitor them by just looking out my window. That I would have to physically drive, and they felt like big toys. Like why did you buy this? Like that kind of thing. Like I didn't need them. And the original plan was, because at this point now I had people coming every weekend, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you made the whole town this interactive thing where I give you 6 or 8 addresses and 6 or 8 door codes to get in, and a map, and you go off and you got to like find the building, and then you go, and so I pictured like teams going all over town, like escape room town, and
you standing in the doorway of the Grand Midway saying, "This is all mine." I am creating
watching everyone from different cameras. And
that's right.
That's where my mindset was investing in for a couple of years, and I've since roped that in. And the town was not, into it anyway.
Were they against you doing that kind of stuff?
The town does. They are not interested in being associated with the paranormal. They don't like. They still to this day let me know, you're not from here.
No.
And so my customer base, or the people that come here, I don't even think of them as customers, are not from this area. They're all from 2 hours away or more, Pittsburgh or farther. We had a couple from Australia come back in last year.
Wow.
So it's but nobody in Windber, they don't even say hello.
They don't swing by for coffee in the morning or anything.
If you look at the park, there's a square of grass out front of our place that even though I've been paying taxes 25 years, the guys that take care of the park, they cut the lawn of the entire park except for the square out front, the Midway. And they'll say, yeah, we were told don't cut the lawn there. And it's just it's just the way
obviously I don't want to stir things up with you in the town, but I just don't understand that, right? Because Windber doesn't have other reasons to bring people into that town. Maybe they just want left alone. And sure, I get that.
They're not really interested in tourism and all that. It's not.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because it's a great location, and there's a lot of worse things you could be doing in the world than going around trying to talk to things in the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, I could have different hobbies. I could be in bars drinking every night. I'm not. I'm going and talking to people that I can't see, But yeah, so the church was a really cool location. I'm really bummed that we can't get back there. Fully understand, obviously. But it's a shame that, again, the locality just doesn't embrace these things a little bit better than they can, because it will fizzle out over time, and you have to keep that passion. And going back to your intro that you typed up about you're like so focused on the mission. Thank God you are, right? Because I think that lesser people would probably back out seeing that opposition all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened around Pittsburgh quite a bit. And that's why we have to drive 2+ hours, is that in the city, if there's locations like the hotel, like there's hotels downtown that are known for paranormal activity that Derek and I and Aaron have tried to get into, that they won't even let us in because they don't want that as, their legacy, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then these places that have history to them, that have stories to tell, just they demolish them and build things over top of them so they can make money. And that's a shame.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we're driving out your way or out to Ohio all the time, because Ohio doesn't knock places down to build new things. They just leave it, which thank God they do, because there's some phenomenal locations out there. But I just hate to hear that you're getting that opposition in the town, because it is a special place.
Well, they just leave me alone,
Sure.
But there's no one out there hugging me.
Right. They're not throwing stones at you, but they're not hugging you. I get it.
I
get it. Yeah.
I think they're just waiting me out, thinking he'll go away one day, and then we'll just tear the building down. It's that kind
the jig is up. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I have a daughter now, and so I'm here for another good long run. And I got like even bigger projects now percolating that I think there's going to be a feature film done at the Midway, like a real budget.
Very nice.
That I almost had it off the ground a couple years back. John Davison, who he did Airplane, and he did one of the RoboCops, and a lot of other movies. And he was bringing me out to LA for meetings at Roger Corman's place, and we got pretty close to getting a movie off the ground in the Midway. Wow. But then it fell apart, and I went off on this like Shakespeare tangent film, a whole different thing. But now that's coming back around again, and I do think it's going to happen eventually.
That's exciting. That's so cool. And you don't have to tell us about all your projects, because there are so many things I want to know about. I want to know about this 4th Guinness World Record that you're working on. I want to know about these projects. Can you at least tell us about that? Are we allowed to know that one?
No.
No. See, you can't tell me about that either. It's a shame.
No, I don't. Some of them I don't want to talk about, because I feel like if you keep it contained, it's more likely to happen.
Sure, I get that.
And there's other forces out there that try to foil your efforts, and so I don't necessarily put all my cards out. Like I'm very driven. I'm very I'm a workaholic, like nonstop. I could never sit on a beach. It must be very difficult to date me. But I'm driven. And so there's always 5 things percolating here in the build that involve the building. And the building is like this microwave or something. It really feels like it plays a role and assists the progress of these things. And so I've really become linked to the building. Like me and the building are this duo, and the world's stuck with us for now. And I just might be nuts. Like this could all just be delusion, but that's how I'm rolling right now.
The whole world of paranormal investigation could be, right?
Yeah.
But the more we spend time on it, the more technology comes around to. Well, we have to be careful with technology, because now with AI and everything else, it's extremely simple to fake things, right? Yeah. And you were talking about you don't care if anybody believes. I agree with that. Like the reason that Derek and I started doing this all those years ago, and that Aaron goes on these investigations, is not to convince people that this stuff's real. It's to tell you that we went somewhere really creepy. We took some cool pictures. We took some cool videos. We had stuff we couldn't explain. We'll leave it to you to interpret, right? And that's very much the vibe that we've always run with. And the Grand Midway itself is very similar to like antique stores that we've investigated, where the building of itself has such a history to it, potentially all this energy built up within its walls because of what it used to be, because of what the town used to be. But then you brought in all these things they've made some really creepy statues and figures and put them up in places, so that gets people on edge. So it's like an antique shop where we have to, when we investigate, we have to parse out, is it the building or is it the things that are in the building, or is it a combination of both?
Yeah, I've had psychics complain, say like it's difficult to decipher, what am I reading here, the room or that statue over there, or is it the mirror, or is it just the vibe of our group tonight, like that you're kind of bombarded with energies. I do that on purpose.
Sure.
I want to have as many energies as possible going on, and some people really think that's naive, that they say like, you're going to get all kinds of attachments and you're going to really get messed up inviting all this energy into your place, and I don't worry about it at all. And I know this is naive, but I just feel like when you're right with God, you don't have to worry about anything, and that's how I live in the building. I don't worry about anything. I just march through with. I mean, last Sunday I was a little creeped out, but in general, march through things, and I tell myself, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. I give the orders to the building. The building doesn't dictate my reality. I tell the building, don't what you can and can't create around me. And so Adam Bly, who was a demonologist that lived in the building for years, I drove him nuts because he was always like, like, this is so clear everything and throw holy water on everything, he would be saying, and I would say, don't do that. And I'd walk to the building, I'd find these like drip lines all over where he would secretly be throwing holy water on me. And
wow.
I imagine every haunted house owner has a different paradigm of how they approach. I mean, they all got to be thinking differently. Everyone doesn't think the same, and that's just how I think. I don't worry about anything. I want to be as bold and confident as possible. And I raised my daughter, who lived the first 5 years of her life in the building, in the hotel. I said, you're in charge. If something touches you in the arm, you give the orders. You don't let that rule you. And so that's just how we live here. And I'm not saying everybody, and it might backfire on me. It might already have backfired on me. I don't know. But that's how I live in the building, and that's how I treat the building. And so there.
Yeah, no, and that's extremely important, not only in this conversation, but we've had previous episodes where we've talked just about how we utilize, religious effigies, or just effigies in general, not necessarily religious things. How we use crystals, how we use these objects that for us bring us the strength, right? It's not, we don't wear them because they're pretty. We wear them because we feel that they make us stronger going into these locations. And we think that that's why we don't ever feel weak during an investigation on purpose, right? If we feel weak, to your point, Blair, like if you feel like you don't have something looking out for you at every turn, that potentially is where those entities or spirits or negative energy or whatever you want to phrase it as could attach to you. By you've shown that weakness, now they fill that gap, right? I don't know if that's really the way it happens, but that's the way I've done things. Yeah.
I was going to say also, there's every time we talk about how we use our layers of protection and some of the things that we utilize, everything comes back to intention. And quite frankly, how you talk about the relationship you have with the house is very similar to how we talk about how we have a relationship with some of the things that protect us. So like setting that intention, the way that you're setting that intention, like that, that all makes sense in my brain. I don't know if it does for you, Dan, but like you're setting that intention, you're coming in with clear directives and a clear energy. Like it makes sense that you're experiencing it the way that you're experiencing it.
And I'm rescuing the building. Like they would.
You are.
Down. So I think the building is glad that I'm around and bringing my efforts to it and stuff.
I love how you talk about this building too. Like it is an entity to you. Like it is a living, breathing thing. You know what I mean? Like it's so cool to hear you talk about it with such like humanity and such character added into it. It's not just a building that you live in. Like, it has a personality that you've tapped into, and you have a relationship with it that you've tapped into. Like, that's a very, very cool thing.
Well, thank you.
I love
that. I will say, I don't think paranormal buildings are safe spaces. That I don't like when little kids are here. I don't. Sometimes people have brought children, and I think, why are you doing that? You know, like
yeah, I agree with that.
I don't really think it's a place. Even my own daughter, like, I don't let her play with Ouija boards and stuff. And
you have a giant one on the roof, Blair.
I know we sleep on it.
we don't use it. We don't use it.
I think little kids. I think maybe little kids should be get some skin first before they're put in such a vulnerable position. And so I don't like when people bring their children. I say it's not a playground for kids. One time somebody brought a couple toddlers, and they said, okay, well, the dad will just sit in the upstairs room because you have DVDs here. I have a massive, I have like a Blockbuster in the building that you have access to. And I went in the room later, and all the DVDs were all over the floor, like frisbees, because the little kids were playing with them, and I was so horrified.
Oh no!
I don't yell at anybody, but anyway, I'm going on a tangent about little kids, but
no, but I think it's a good thing to talk about, because people get reckless with investigations, right? And we have talked about it before, so it's not something that's off kilter very much. Right?
Alcohol is another thing that sometimes people show up, depending if they're walking in the building with equipment or bottles of Southern Comfort. I know if they're going to do a serious investigation. I mean, anyone does. Like that you're not setting yourself up for a serious investigation. You're setting yourself up for a goofy wild night, and it's going to end up with very different results.
Yes.
Now, when people show up with alcohol and not equipment, do you let them stay still, or do you?
No, in the early days, like everybody arrived with bottles.
Sure.
But now I really discourage that too. I say, like, people call me all the time, like, "Hey, bachelor party and stuff," and I say it's not really that kind of place anymore. That first of all, it's filled with antiques. So everywhere you go, I don't need drunks like knocking some of these one of a kind items over. And I used to cater a lot more to that, and I enjoyed every bit of it. You know, I don't deny any of it, but it's just not. It's just changed, and now it's evolved into it's real quiet and real dark, and people creep around in the dark, and that's the place that. And maybe in 5 years it'll be different. That's what it is now. Right now, it's hardcore investigations and project making, because I don't really do investigations myself. I tag along, but that's not what I'm doing in my spare time there. That I'm working on projects like a film project, for instance. And so it's that too is going on, like different cultural things happening in there. Yeah. I'm literally that guy that, like, at 3 a.m. the neighbors would see, like, dragging a coffin from the back of the car in the front door.
I like those kind of people. I really do. So what part of the Grand Midway made you creeped out? Was it the whole building? You said recently it just changed on you a little bit, or was it one specific area?
Well, there's a scene in The Exorcist where I think he goes into maybe the priest goes into the bathroom, and there's a sound happening before, like it sounds like a towel's ruffling or something. This is not like a memorable scene, but there's like a sound happening before the action happens, and then like he turns on the faucet or something, and that sound stops. But that sound of activity shouldn't be happening. I might be describing the scene.
Sure.
I'm sorry, but when I walk in the Midway sometimes on Sunday nights after everyone's gone, or in the weekday when I'm changing sheets, I sometimes feel like I hear sounds like that before any movements happen. Like I walk into a building and think, what am I listening to?
What's that?
Something. And so it's usually me on the first floor listening to the sounds upstairs. And that sometimes is creepy, because I think, damn, I have to go upstairs and investigate now. You know, like I can't, like, what if it's
you don't want to just let it go.
You know, I can't let it go. And so it was like that the other night where I just felt like I just really don't want to go up there in this moment. It just is, it's dark and super creepy up there. And you know, I walk up the steps like, okay. But sometimes it like the other night, it was very much like that. And I think that's just from all the new Anne Rice stuff that I've been putting out all over the place. And I think that's playing a role.
Well, I love that you still have possession of those Anne Rice dolls. Because I know the last time we were there, you said that you were talking about possibly giving them back, or they were talking about coming to get them or something. I'm glad you still have those because those are special pieces.
There were 3 dolls that they weren't supposed to give me that Anne Rice wanted back.
Okay.
And so I had to return them, but then they gave me a whole bunch more. And so
we'll trade you these 3 for these 12.
it's a lot of Anne Rice stuff. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, it must be if you're planning on making a whole wing for her from the sounds of it. That's exciting stuff.
Hoarder. Like sometimes I think, like, I know I have a couple friends that are hoarders, and I think, am I a hoarder? And I just like have all this stuff on display, but really I just keep accumulating physical items because it's an awful lot of physical stuff in that building.
There is a lot of stuff, but it all has. I think hoarders when you have stuff that doesn't serve a purpose. And everything in that building serves a purpose as far as I'm concerned. You know, I mean, like it is not there for space fillers. It has value and it just makes this place more special than it would be if it didn't have it. So that's why I don't think you're a hoarder quite yet. Maybe one day you will be, but not quite yet. So are you starting to believe in, and maybe this is a loaded question. Do you believe in ghosts more now than you have before? Or have you always been a believer from day one?
I think I always, yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, there was a period where I was a real hardcore atheist in my late teens and early 20s. And anything, even people mentioning spirituality, I used to think like, oh, I thought you were an intelligent person. I see you're an idiot. and I just went through this really hardcore atheist period. And I remember talking to some professor one day, and he said, well, you get inspired, right? And I said, well, yeah, things inspire me. And he goes, well, in spiritists, that the idea that spirits can put wind in your wings. And it just opened a little window. And that's when, within a couple of years, all those psychics were stopping me in LA. And I changed hard. I went the complete opposite. Like now I'm such a blind faith guy. I'm so blind faith kind of person now that I'll get a feeling and I'll bet the farm on it. I think I had a dream about this. And I had a dream where it was like, it told me all this information about Shakespeare, things that I couldn't know about symbolism and decoding stuff. And I woke up and I ran with it. And that's the feature film I'm finishing up right now about decoding Shakespeare stuff. But it all came out of a dream. And then half a year ago, I had a dream about, it said, you're going to do a film festival called the Frankenstein Awards. And I woke up and I said, oh, I guess I am. And I
guess I have no choice now.
And all these things fell into place. And now it's going to be at the Warhol within a few months. And so that's just my method now. My modus operandi is I live in this world of dreams and intuition and hunches, and it's very goofy and illogical, I think, looking to other people, but I don't care. But that's like how my methods are now.
I love that vibe.
Yeah.
I love because I'm trying to get there as I age, because everybody, when you're younger, you care only about what people think of you. Right. But as I mature, and now that I have a kid and everything, I'm very much leaning towards where you're at. I don't care anymore. Right. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do because I know I'm not hurting people. I'm not putting anybody in harm's way, making the decisions I'm making. I'm just going to enjoy my life. And if you want to come along for the ride, you can join me. But if you don't, it's okay too. Yeah, I think it's like a great way to live.
Yep.
All right. So unfortunately we are running short on time. Aaron, did you have any last minute things you wanted to ask Blair about? We have to get you face to face with Blair. We're going to get back to the Grand Midway over the next year or two.
Yes.
What are you doing now? You can drive out. I'm going to be up all night in there working.
Well, we have to drive there, investigate, and then go to work in the morning. I would love it.
Yeah.
It would be awesome.
Be perfect.
No, we'll definitely be making out soon. So how can put some shameless plugs in for all the things you're working on now that you can share with the world? How can people reach out to the Grand Midway to get in touch with you to set up investigations? When's your film series going to happen? Just kind of throw some shameless plugs in there for you.
Okay. There's a webpage called grandmidwayhotel.com. And so any information is there. And then and there's a Facebook page called Grand Midway Hotel where I sort of put something up weekly about something going on around the building. There's actually another Grand Midway Hotel in India. It's like a 5-star hotel, but I got the first. And so they've they're stuck with me. I could tell you think you're calling the place in India because they're looking for parking and stuff. And hello, can't find it, and
that's actually hilarious. For you. So that's the best way to get a hold of you, just through the Facebook or on the website.
Yeah, and right now, like in the past, I rented out individual rooms. I'm not doing that this year because there's so many changes happening, and I'm almost a one-man operation, and so it will become that way again in future years where individuals can rent out rooms. But right now, I'm just renting the building out to teams. And so because a lot of people are writing me right now saying, how do I spend the night, and get 5 other people and then you can do it.
Come with a flashlight and we'll let you stay. Right.
Yeah.
So when are the Frankenstein Awards for people that would like to join?
So that's going to be on October 29.
Okay.
And if you're a filmmaker and if you go to Film Freeway, which if you're a filmmaker, you know about that page, that champions all the film festivals out there. The Frankenstein Awards is already on Film Freeway with all the information on there. And it's also on the hotel's webpage, grandmidwayhotel.com, that I try to put all the projects on there. If also, I've been collecting stories from past teams. I've been saying to people, I know you got to go, I'll round it up. I've been saying to people, hey, if you have a story from something from when you investigated, send it to me, because I'm putting out a booklet it's not a commercial. It's more of for future investigators to flip through and see what earlier teams dealt with and advice or suggestions. And so I'm not really looking for you to a review so much as just if you have a story, email it to me and I'll include it. I'm wide open to anybody's, even if I disagree with it. These 3 ladies came one time and they left me this horrible note saying, we had a boring night and nothing happened.
It happens. It happens.
It does.
Yeah. So you win some, you lose some.
Yes, sir. Well, Blair, thank you very much for getting on tonight, and thank you for sticking with us over the last few weeks. We had to make the changes.
Of course.
Really, really great to catch up with you again. And I promise you, within the next 12 months, we will be on your books, getting back in there. Blair, thank you so much for your time.
Certainly. It's nice meeting you both again on screen.
Yes.
So
great.
Take care.
Take care, everybody. And thank you, everybody, for joining in. Have a great night.